Hello, my name is Bradley, officially claiming the moniker of Bradley Viking for what I'm going to start of a series of YouTube videos talking from everything from fitness, nerd culture, Vikings and other historical warriors, superheroes related to nerd culture, as well as the martial arts. Because I have interest and membership in all these communities. Oh, and zombies. Zombies is an old one and trending down, but when zombie stuff comes up, I'm gonna talk about it. But definitely what I'm getting much more influence, what people in my community most often want to hear me talk about, is my fitness journey and what I am doing to help them along with their fitness journeys. And I think that is great. That I'm just an average person, works a full-time job. I have done things like worked out, nutrition, all that stuff to better myself, and that people are seeing this as an example to follow, and I want to encourage that as much as possible. I want to see as many people as possible get themselves healthy, get themselves fit so they can live long, happy, healthy lives and do what they dream of doing. And also it's along with just being generally fitter and healthier. I'm more confident, getting more organized with having just set of routines in terms of nutrition, meal planning, as well as gym routines has helped me be just a bit more organized and efficient in my own day-to-day life outside of that. I mean, it's still something I'm ongoing working on, but I'm working on. And I do see myself as a relatable person as opposed to you got the morbidly obese 400-pound individuals. And I realize that's shockingly is still a growing number of the Western world, particularly the United States, but Canada's right next door and we got plenty of morbidly obese people too. I don't know what the Canadian statistics are, but I'm sure there are plenty of people becoming obese, remaining obese, or at risk of becoming obese and morbidly obese. And then there's also people who are making amazing transformations, going from morbidly obese down to healthy weight. And there's also the flip side, where you have the super jacked people, right? Bodybuilder types, people maintaining low percentages of body fat and just are these ripped piles of muscle that just take off their shirt at the library and nobody says anything because all their jaws have dropped. Although, yes, one of my goals is to one day walk into the library shirtless and not get flack. I mean, I've never walked into a library shirtless. I don't know why I'm so focused on the library, but that's how random I am. So, about me, I am 28 years old. I live in Canada. That's as much as people need to know right now, even though I'm wearing a Captain America shirt. But you know what? Captain America fights for all of Earth. Also, an American told me that once you get the Captain America design on the uniform, it actually looks much more like the Puerto Rican flag. So that works. And he's also I like him a lot as a superhero. I think I'll take a moment to explain why Captain America is one of my favorite superheroes. I have a whole range of these superhero rash guards for working out in and just being awesome in. And they are representative of some of my favorite superheroes. Captain America is one of my favorites in the fact that the majority of superheroes, their genesis for becoming a hero is born out of tragedy, right? Spider-Man loses Uncle Ben, Batman loses his parents, famous examples. Captain America, he has tragedy in his story, the loss of Bucky and then the return of Bucky, but not Bucky being the brainwashed being a Winter Soldier. But Captain America had the drive to be a hero before that, right? He was already Captain America when he lost Bucky. But when he was skinny, weak, wimpy Steve Rogers, he still had the spirit of hero. This was a dude trying to enlist in World War II just to do his part when he had every excuse on the planet to not fight. Again, huge big war, big risk, and it's he's small, he was sickly, and that's the thing. People are just like, yeah, small and weak, but like no, he also like if you kind of pause the first movie or you look into the comics, I'm much more familiar with the movies, just FYI, in terms of most superhero stuff. Movies and Wikipedia articles is they even say, they give you screen, you see like list of all the freaking diseases, like I think it was like exposed to scarlet fever, typhoid, asthma. The recruiter even says UB4F, aka not eligible on your asthma alone. So that's the thing, not like legitimately sick individual, like does not have the health to be a soldier, but just so determined to be a hero and that spirit, so that no matter whether he's running around at 6'2" and jacked with muscle and all these superhuman abilities, at his heart he's still that same 5 foot tall, 90 pound, sickly boy man. Like I mean, he was actually still like a full grown man. He was a man, but he looked like a boy. And he never forgets that. And that's something I remember my origins, even though I haven't been like a small skinny little thing since I was like 4 years old. Okay, probably like third. I got chubby about like 4th or 5th grade. But I mean, so before that I was small, but I do know what it is like to be the underdog, to come from being the underdog, and I keep that humble. So that I remind myself about that, to keep humble. So no matter how far I get, how fit I get, what abilities I gain, to basically like try to turn myself into an everyday version of a superhero, I remember that you have to keep the heart in it. The heart of the everyman, the man who just wants to have compassion, be a good man, do his part, and not let all the other stuff go to your head. That said, you can still feel confident about, like, I take time to celebrate my victories. I feel confident in them. I have dance parties, I make Instagram posts. It is quite awesome, but it is a balance. It is a balance between the humility and the confidence. And I feel you need to have both. You both need to have the confidence, which is something I've lacked for years and years and years. But you also need to have the humility to know, like, yeah, you're all that, but you weren't always. And you need to accept that. You need to accept, like, this took work. Right? I am someone who very little has come easy for me in my life. I'm proud of that, like, people look at me and they think, people who just meet me think a lot of the stuff I can do now comes easy for me. Like, the only thing that ever came easy to me was math. Maybe reading comprehension, which is weird because reading and writing didn't come easy to me. Like, initially when I was in grade school, reading and writing did not come easy. But then reading stories, I was just innately able to understand them better than most of my classmates. But that's the thing. I'm someone who's had to work for what I've had. I learned that from a young enough age, so that I've always kept the mentality to work. So I've never fallen as far as some, even if I did not start off as high as others. And I do feel I exist in this middle ground where so many people are, and they need someone to look at. So I'm here to be your hero. And yeah, I know I'm talking piecemeal of my background story, my origin story, as it will. Might as well have an origin story if I'm a superhero. And yes, I have ADHD. That is something I have dealt with my entire life and will continue to deal with until I'm, no longer on this earth. Not one of those boys who was just like 8-year-old boys that was hyperactive. I was, legitimate ADHD, so that is a factor here, but it's not a crutch. That's just like, you see something, yeah. Like, there's your explanation. I do not attempt to use it as a crutch. I do not attempt to use it as an excuse. I will still try my best to keep focused discussion. And for now, I'm going to start with the intro is Bradley, 28-year-old Canadian, works a shift schedule, 4 days on, 4 days off, 10-hour shifts, so he gets his 40 hours in. So like, it's not the Monday to Friday 9 to 5 kind of gig. Although I've worked those kinds of hours, even start like 7:30, but whatever. 7, 8 o'clock, working 8-hour days, Monday, Friday. So I've worked that. I now work shift, but it's still a 40-hour week. It's still someone with a full-time job, but is able to find time for my fitness. And yes, I've taken advantage of that opportunity that having 4 days off kind of gives me to work within my schedule. But days I do work, I have less time in those days. So it is a trade-off. I have found a way to make that work. I want to help encourage others to, no matter what hand you're dealt, to be able to play that hand. And so my start of my fitness journey really came when I was about 16 years old. I was a fat kid growing up, so about, I think I said earlier, 4th or 5th grade is when I noticeably, like, if you look at my baby albums, you see, like, skinny little kid, weird narcoleptic phase, skinny little kid. And then, about 5th grade is pictures of, like, you see the cheeks fill out, these chubby cheeks. In a later video, I will pull these pictures out and show them to you, but not yet. And so and then I just dealt with being the fat kid for a short portion of my life. But like, at least I had early intervention, relatively speaking, as opposed to someone who got fat as a child and was like allowed to continue to bloat up into just fat. And the fact that like my dad and my sister, so I have 3 older sisters, so the middle one, almost flashed a finger there. The middle one was super into fitness. I mean, we've all kind of did some activities. I played some soccer as a kid. Wasn't really into it. I did taekwondo when I was like 7. Wasn't really into it. And it was probably more of a McDojo anyways. It wasn't really that legit. But yeah, I wasn't really a kid that was much into most, like, hated gym class in elementary school. Didn't like to be very active. I much preferred to eat cookies and watch movies and read books. I've usually been an avid reader, but still like pretty sedentary. You know, and I still like love movies and I still love books, even though the past year I've been more listening to books than sitting down and reading them. I don't know, just how I've been taking them in, but I love stories, I love art. So that's why, again, there will be other videos of me talking about that and how things relate back into these fictional universes that I get so obsessed with. I look through the lens of fiction to see reality. I hope that makes sense to someone. But yeah, so I was 16, my dad and my middle sister were starting to work with a personal trainer. My middle sister was much more the hardcore, like, fitness person in our family, like, ran either a half marathon or a marathon at one point in her later teen years. And just the hardcore driven, what they call the A-type personality, right? Became a nurse, did all these things. And even my other sisters played soccer. My older sister played rugby, although those photos are hilarious because she's just this small little thing running next to these, like, giant women worthy of Vikings. A woman that you describe as like a farmer's wife. Like, just these, like, not even like fat girls, just tall, large women that you have legitimate fear could beat you to death. And then there's my sister, who's not that, running next to them, like a image of it on the rugby field. Like, how did you live? I don't know. She somehow lived, and that is a wonderful thing. I'd be very sad if any of my sisters died. So yes, they started seeing me with a personal trainer. Started working out with him 2 times a week. And at that point, 16, and then I was starting to get much more, right, puberty kind of took some of that baby fat, like, you know, growing almost a foot, redistributed the fat around my body so that it was less, right, like, plump child now is like stretched out, so the fat's like other places, and now I have a build that can carry. It's an advantage and disadvantage at the same time, because it's a build like people would want, and the fact that my body holds fats evenly distributed, so I can carry an extra 20-30 pounds and it not be as noticeable. As opposed to other people, right? They gain like extra 10 pounds, it goes right to their stomach and they blow it out. Me, I can carry like extra 20 pounds, and it's just kind of like, if I wear the right clothes, it's whatever. It's like, if it needs to be an extra 40 pounds, and you start to notice like the belly. And so yeah, but yeah, this personal trainer who was just a godsend to me, helped really inspire me in terms of starting fitness and such, and like wanted to be like my dad who worked out. My dad's never been an athlete. My dad is as much of a nerd as me, engineer, studying, but like still felt it was important to be strong, to be able to be fit enough to do everyday tasks, to be able, because he works on cars and he does his own home renovations, so he needs to be in shape enough to be able to do those things. And now that he's getting older, he has grandchildren, his goal is to be able to still be active with his grandchildren, not just be kid. Okay, you can sit on Grandpa's lap, but if we have to move, Grampy can't come with you. Grandpa wants to come with you, push the sled down the hill. Grandpa wants to run around with you. Grandpa wants to take you out in the backwoods and swing around chainsaws. Mad stuff. Just that kind of stuff. And I had gotten into the Rocky movies at the time, and I was an impressionable 16-year-old kid. So I was like, Rocky, this is awesome! And I've always been fascinated more by the fighters, by the warriors, right? I grew up, and in the books I would read before, when I was younger, I would read Lord of the Rings. I was reading Redwall, which if you don't know is a medieval fantasy series based off woodland creatures, but it is very cross-genre with Lord of the Rings in terms of the fact it's medieval warfare, but Redwall is more kid-focused. There's plenty of violence, but it's not extremely gory. There's no bad language. It is fantastical setting. Plus, there's a detached because it's mice and the hares and the squirrels, and they're fighting the evil rats and the weasels and foxes and stuff. And so it's all good. So yeah, and that's the thing. You see these role models, and so yeah, there's a part of me that's always wanted to fight on some level. That wants to be the fighter, be the warrior, be the protector. I'm not saying, I'm not getting into gender politics here, if that's essentially a masculine thing or if that's essentially a me thing. But, yeah, it's a me thing. I'm going to call that. So, yeah, watching Rocky. So, originally I wanted to be a boxer. 16 years old, Rocky was my thing. I wanted to be a boxer. And so I had this personal trainer, we worked together, then it's boxing. So that was how he used boxing workouts to help me improve my fitness. And then I watched a little movie called Never Back Down, right? This 2008, Never Back Down came out. This is when UFC was really starting to kick off. If you don't know the history of mixed martial arts, right? Started in the early 90s, but it was a pariah for a long time. Then the mid 2000s, 2005, 2008 kind of areas when it really took off into the public mainstream, and I got caught along in the wave. First, I'd see these promos on TV. I'm like, what even is this? I don't know. Whatever, it's dumb boxing. But then I saw this movie Never Back Down, and it made it look awesome. And it's funny now, 12 years later, I can look at that movie and my martial arts experience has grown so much. I'm like, wow, they were doing so many dumb things in that movie. There is some high level technique in there, but there's also some tactical, dumbed down, watered down stuff that's why would they do that? It's more you see the stunt people are doing really awesome, that's good technique, that's good stuff. And then the main actor's yeah, there's flaws, there's holes in your game. Why would you do that instead of this? That's not realistic. You wouldn't train like this. But still, it inspired me. It made me, at the time the movie did its job. It made mixed martial arts look awesome. So I was like, Darren's the personal trainer. Darren, can we, I know you know about mixed martial arts. Can we work more in that? So we did some of that. But eventually I got called out that, just doing 2 private sessions a week, personal trainer was not enough to turn me into a martial arts badass. So I ended up joining a dojo. Not my current dojo. I was still in high school. I joined a dojo did Aki Jiu-Jitsu and Kyokushin Karate for a while because they labeled it as mixed martial arts, even though it was kind of separate. There wasn't really the wrestling aspect of that MMA in there. But there was still useful practice. It was still good to be in that class environment, working with other people. And it got me really fired up, like, this is awesome. I did that until I finished high school. I moved away to Calgary for years, so obviously I had to quit that program. I was still into martial arts. I did a bit of jiu-jitsu while I was away for a year, but not a lot. I just tried to keep up. I mainly ran around fields kicking things and punching the air and trying to shadow box. And so I just had a flashback and like thinking like me now versus me then. Like me then was such a flailing. But that's the thing what you need to know, right? There was a previous me who was this flailing idiot and he didn't even know it. But what he knew was he loved martial arts. Past Bradley loved it. And that is what has kept me from, I guess, joining the Morbidly Obese. Because while I love martial arts, I found this new love for activity through it. Through movement. Through this thing I was doing. I was going to say new love through activity. Hobby? You could call it a hobby, I guess. Right? I was a hobby martial artist as opposed to like a professional martial. I was doing it full time for money. I have yet to make any real money off of martial arts. I have spent a great deal of money over, like if you add up over the years, rarely at any one time, but over the years I've spent a great deal of money into the martial arts. Don't regret a penny of it. Except for maybe like some equipment that just was not so good. But what turned me into Muay Thai specifically was, again, the trend of movies in my life. So Rocky, boxing. Never Back Down, MMA. Then I watched a movie called On Bak, which was the breakout movie for Tony Jaa. If you don't know, Tony Jaa is like the Muay Thai action movie dude. Right? He's made several Thai martial arts films. He's come over into the Hollywood scene. He's been featured in Fast and the Furious 7. So there's so many Fast and Furious movies, I'd be like, which one was he in? He was in the 7th one. Although, if you see, like, it took me actually, like, halfway through the movie to recognize him because they, like, give him some tattoos and change his hair up all crazy. Master Z, he was in that one. There was another mainstream one, but, like, On Bak was the initial one. Same with The Protector was an early film. I'm just going to try to look up his career. But, yeah, On Bak is the coolest Muay Thai movie ever. It does go like crazy, and the fact that like at one point he is behind some barrels, the barrels explode from gunfire, and then he jumps out of the barrels with his legs on fire to knee a guy in the chest, and then does a triple kick to kick him in the head. Triple Threat, that was the movie I was thinking of. Oh, by the way, Never Back Down, No Surrender, aka Never Back Down 3, and Triple X Return of Xander Cage. So, Tony Jaa. So, like, he's been in some movies, like, if you're an action movie kind of person, you may have seen nothing super, super big yet. I do hope to see him in more things. There's some stuff here, nothing that looks quite promising, although Monster Hunter looks interesting. He is apparently, looks like a Resident Evil movie. But that's just because we got our girl Mila Jovovich. Anyways, Tony Jaa, On Bak, made Muay Thai look awesome. And guess what? Muay Thai is awesome, and that is what inspired my love for Muay Thai. So when I came back to live back at home, in my home, from after moving away, I found a local dojo that was teaching Muay Thai. It had actually only been operating for about a year. And so I signed up there, and it's like, and then I started a very long journey of learning how to do Muay Thai. And I came in very I had an inflated ego because I had some previous experience. I thought I knew some Muay Thai. And I really had to get humbled down to realize I didn't really know all that much. Like, I knew some basic stuff. And that was it. I knew basically step drag. I knew basically how to start punching. but so much more I needed to learn, and I am still 9 years later learning. But that has really been a large part of what's kept me on track and such. And so yes, that was me starting off more the workout side, but not really focusing on the nutrition side. I was eating whatever I wanted, and so I still looked pretty chubby. Like there was a time when I was doing all these activities, all these martial arts, and I was doing work as a trainer. Like parts of me slimmed down. Like my sister was saying, "Oh yeah, how much is hips slim down?" Because I think it's like if you're just consistently and then you up the activity, then yeah, then the like some of the weight will drop, but it will not drop as dramatically as opposed to if you actually go, because your body will kind of adjust to the activity level and get used. So if you're first doing new activities, like it'll take all these calories, but as you get more and more used to it, you will get more efficient at it, and if you get more efficient at it, you burn less calories, and that's what happened to me, and so I ended up turning into I was the poster boy for the meme of, yeah, he works out, but he likes cake, because buddy, I love some cake. And yeah, no, so I've had issues with food. I probably had a pretty poor relationship with food, and there's definitely times, like, I am a stress eater. I will eat, like, when things go sideways or wrong in my life, my instinct is to just sit there and eat, to watch some movie or something, and just eat. Or like if I'm stressed at work, I'm a bad day at work, like I want to go to the vending machine, buy a cookie, get some sugar in me, and to just chill myself out. And that is my reaction, and that is something I have had to learn to overcome. But yeah, so that is part one of my origin story. This video is starting to get a bit long. I hope you